All right. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back. So we spent just a very brief time on Saul. We saw Saul's heart was not concerned with being right before the Lord as much as he wanted popularity and position before the people. Now let's take a look at David, a king after God's own heart, not like the pagan kings, which Micah I think, providentially highlighted for us in the last episode. So Saul will eventually be. David is going to this isn't in here, and I'm just coming off my head. David and Jonathan. Jonathan is Saul's son. They are best friends. Saul commits these terrible crimes. Hid the peace of the Lord, right? When we sin, the first thing we all know is our peace leaves. We become anxious, and that happened to Saul. And so, to soothe his troubled soul, he knows through Jonathan that David can play instruments, and thanks be to God, that's why we have Psalms, right? Because most of them are set to music. So he has David come in, and he becomes jealous and intensely jealous of David, so much so that he wants to kill him, and he tries to kill him on many, many, many occasions. And David, in response, has opportunity at times to kill him. Some situations might even look like in self-defense, but he chooses not to because he doesn't want to raise his hand against the Lord's anointed. So one of these times he doesn't kill him, but the Philistines will ultimately slay Saul on Mount Gilboa, and we can read about that in 1 Samuel 31. And in fact, I do encourage you to take that time, with these chapters, just to really see personally how the Lord works.
Just get deeper context.
Yes. So he's anointed. David is anointed 3 times in his family home as a ruddy lad shepherd and the youngest son. We see that 1 Samuel 16, 1 through 13. He's anointed over Judah, 2 Samuel 2 through 4, and then over the entire kingdom of Israel, 2 Samuel 5 through 6. And so some of this information, so I always read books around here. I'm using a Catholic introduction, so we had King James, as solid a source as I can find. And then here's another good one, A Catholic Introduction to the Bible by John Bergsma and Brent Petrie. I'll put that there. All right. So God makes a covenant with David. So David and the Lord's going to have, David's going to have this desire to build a temple for the Lord, in response of all the good things he was. So the Lord is going to, so there's going to be a play on names. You want to build me a house. I'm going to build. So David, you want to build a house to the Lord. The Lord in reply, I want to build a house to you. And so a great name or house is synonymous with a royal dynasty. So this is part of the covenant the Lord's making with David. There will be a royal dynasty. There's going to be God's reign through his appointed king. So we see that in the Messianic Psalms. It will be everlasting and raise up offspring after you. And that's both literal and allegorical. So yes, David wants to build a temple for the Lord, but Yahweh will build a house dynasty for David that will be everlasting through Jesus. Solomon will be given this privilege of building literally once peace is on all sides.
Awesome. I love all the background you offer, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a real pleasure. It's a real pleasure having this, because if I knew we weren't doing the show together, you know, we get all busy, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. And it's very refreshing to see it. All right. So David has all this, right? He didn't kill Saul. We didn't even go into the Goliath story that we all know and admire. He has his covenant. He has all the wives he could want. And then we have the spring. We have David's sin in 2 Samuel 11. And so I'll read this verse. And note the problem here. In the spring of the year, the time when kings go forth to battle, David sent Joab, and we all want to remember this guy's name, and his servants with him, and all Israel. And they ravaged the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah. But David remained at Jerusalem. So I think modern readers like to have things. You tell me, tell me what you're going to tell me. You tell me, and then tell me what you told me. Right? We like it up in our face. What's the deal? Scripture's not like that, or at least often it's not. And this is a time we have to be attentive. In the spring, when kings go to battle, David's king. Where is he supposed to be?
At battle, right.
And where is he?
Back in Jerusalem.
He's in Jerusalem, gazing about. He doesn't have custody of his eyes, and he sees a beautiful woman bathing. All right. So Scripture very much says, a lot of our troubles can be avoided just by doing the task we're supposed to. Right.
Yeah.
And that would be an understatement here without David coming right out and say it.
Yeah, it's so easy to get lazy and just kind of push off what we know we should be doing, and then we're ripe for mistake.
We are absolutely ripe for mistake. And so here we go. So David's gazing about. He sees this beautiful woman. He seduces Bathsheba. She conceives. And so the cover-up, right? And I think that this is a truism here. The cover-up is kind of worse than the crime. Because he tries to arrange for Uriah to sleep with his wife. But because Uriah is a righteous leader in solidarity with his soldiers, he refrains from the marriage privilege. So now David, right? And to David's credit, and to the sacred scriptures credit, most people would whitewash this. Here's their and he is a great icon, and historical biographies, right? The softening of the errors, the softening of that doesn't occur here. We're seeing David, warts and all. And I think for me, it's just one of the proofs of truth with sacred scripture. Many proofs, but to me, just a gut check kind of proof.
Yeah.
All right. So Uriah doesn't sleep with his wife, right? So that she could say the child was his. Then he calls in Joab. Remember Joab from verse 1. He's the commander. And now he has an accomplice. And we've gone from adultery now to murder. And yes, we do think of poor Uriah being murdered, but he won't be the only one, right? He's going to have his soldiers about him and the other. So we have a bunch of men murdered. because of the adultery. And in Proverbs, if we look in Proverbs, we will see that adultery always reaps death in one way or another. But that's not here. All right. Maybe we'll stop there because now we're at the point where we will have a big turn here.
Right.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, friends. We'll pick up with Nathan in the next episode. Till then, my friends, Fide Sed Ratio.